In this video, I wanted to go over a couple tips and tricks for people that are new to the ketogenic diet. Here are a few tips and tricks that I learned along the way that I think might be helpful for people that are just starting their ketogenic journey. So first tip I wanted to give is, before you start, or if you're new, make sure you research how the ketogenic diet works, how it's supposed to work, what your body does and how it acts on the diet. The purpose of doing this is, if you know how it's supposed to work and your body is supposed to work on the diet, you're less prone to cheat. You're less prone to say, oh, I'll just have a couple carbs here and there, or I'll have a Snickers today, I'll get back on it tomorrow. It doesn't work that way. With the ketogenic diet, if you eat too many carbs, you'll end up kicking yourself out of ketosis, especially if you eat things that are really high in sugar. You'll end up staggering your progress. So research the diet, make sure you know how it works and how your body operates while you're on the ketogenic diet. That'll make it a lot easier for you to pick out what food you should eat, and also you'll be less prone to cheat if you know how different kind of foods affect your body while you're in ketosis. So tip number 2, very, very important tip when you're on a ketogenic diet, or any diet for that matter, make sure you calculate your macros. Make sure you know what you should be eating per day as far as carbs, as far as fats, as far as protein. So obviously on the ketogenic diet, you want your fats to be 70% of your daily intake of calories. You want to make sure that fat is coming from good, clean sources. So we're talking about, organic, cold press, coconut oil, avocados. We want to go with organic butter or ghee. That's spelled G-H-E-E, which is a clarified form of butter. So make sure you're getting all your fats in, but from really good sources. You don't want to rely too much on animal fat unless it's organic or grass-fed meats. You don't really know how well those animals have been treated or where they came from. You don't know what kind of things that they've been eating. So you don't want to base the majority of your fats on the ketogenic diet based off of like sausage or bacon. You don't want to go too heavy on stuff like that for a fat source. Once again, you're going to want to stick to nice, clean, organic, if possible, sources of fat, preferably plant-based like coconut oil, avocado oil, avocados, clarified butter. Obviously, ghee is amazing. Organic butter, grass-fed butter, amazing. So also on the ketogenic diet, you want 20 to 25% of your protein to be your macro, and then you want to limit your carbs to 10-15% depending on where your macros are at. Preferably you want to set a hard goal for carbs. You want to be under 30 grams if you can do it. If not, 50 grams of carbs is acceptable, but you want to aim for as little carbs as possible. The general consensus is about 30 grams a day worth of carbs. You'll be all right. It's definitely doable. It's not impossible. And another thing I want to mention about carbs is, because you have such a small budget for carbs, you want to make sure that you're spending it wisely. You want to treat it like a valuable resource, because you can only intake so much within a day. Otherwise, if you intake too much, you'll kick yourself out of ketosis. You'll end up hurting your progress. So you want to spend your carbs wisely. And what I mean by that is, you want to eat carbs that are providing you other nutritional benefits other than just glucose. So if you have 30 grams of carbs a day that you can intake or eat, you don't want to blow that on half a Pop-Tart or a couple bites of a Snickers. You want to spend that wisely. You want to source your carbs from whole foods, broccoli, kale, spinach, celery, food that'll give you more than just carbs as a benefit. Tip number 3 is find substitutes for foods that you like. It'll make it easier. You'll be less prone to cheat that way. So now what I mean is, like, you know, if you're really big into pasta, find substitutes for pasta dishes that you like to eat. My go-to kind of, I'm not really into pasta, but sometimes I like to have spaghetti. So you obviously can't eat pasta. What I've done is bake a spaghetti squash or make zucchini noodles. That is an awesome alternative because you're getting your vegetables in for the day. They're also a good source of fiber, which you'll need on the ketogenic diet. And honestly, I don't really miss pasta that much. I'm not really a pasta guy to begin with. Some people, you know, they live off pasta, but that might be a little bit harder for you. But honestly, with spaghetti squash or zucchini noodles, there is a little bit of a texture difference when you're eating spaghetti, but not big enough of a difference where I'll want to break the diet. You know, one thing that's been hard for me, obviously, is rice, because I'm Asian. I don't want to dishonor my ancestors, so I had to switch to rice cauliflower, which actually makes a pretty amazing cauliflower fried rice. I was thoroughly surprised, but I honestly don't miss rice at all. Rice cauliflower is a amazing alternative, and cauliflower is super healthy anyway, so if you're not into eating cauliflower before the ketogenic diet, you might find yourself liking cauliflower a lot more afterwards. Another substitute that I found is really effective is a substitute for soda or pop. Instead of drinking Coca-Cola, Pepsi, whatever your drink of choice is, I found carbonated drinks that are keto friendly, 0 sugar, 0 carbs. There's a sparkling ice carbonated water that you can drink. It's sweetened with sucralose, which is 0 carbs, 0 sugar. There's also Zevia, I think is what it's called. It's a carbonated drink that's sweetened with stevia, and it's amazing. I've also gotten into the habit of drinking like 1 Powerade Zero a day or a Gatorade Zero a day. Not only does it kind of fight off my sweet tooth, but you also get vitamins and minerals in it, so you get your sodium, your potassium, stuff that you're going to be low on anyways if you're cutting out breads, pasta, stuff like that. Try to drink at least 1 Powerade Zero or Gatorade Zero a day. I found that it helps me quite a bit. When I first started the ketogenic diet, I read a lot about the Keto Flu, and I was kind of preparing for it, so I put a lot of salt in my foods, not to the point where it became like disgusting to eat or anything like that, but I just reminded myself to add a little bit extra salt to my foods, and then, you know, drinking the 1 Powerade or Gatorade Zero a day helps you get those minerals in that you may be missing from other sources of food that you're cutting out of your diet. So I didn't really have the Keto Flu. To this day, I don't even know what it feels like, honestly, because I've never had it. So just make sure the foods that you're taking out, find good substitute for it, not only from a dietary nutrition level, but from a just satisfaction level, things that you like to eat. You know, try to find substitutes for it so you don't end up missing those foods too much, and finding yourself cheating on the diet because you're craving your favorite pasta or your favorite dish or something like that. So one other tip is you're gonna want to be pretty strict with tracking your macros, tracking how much fat you're intaking, tracking your protein, your carb intake. There's a couple of different apps out there that are really good at tracking macronutrition levels. MyFitnessPal is probably one of the most popular ones. I used to use that. I use Carb Manager now. It works very similar to MyFitnessPal, but I think it's a little bit more catered to the ketogenic diet, Carb Manager. So check that out. Get an app like that to make sure you track where you're at for the day. There was an experiment done a while back that looked at how people guesstimated what they ate in a day versus people that actually tracked down and wrote down what they ate, and the experiment concluded that people that did not track their calories or tracked what they ate horrifically underestimated what they ate for the day, as far as portion size, as far as what they actually ate. Some people just forget, especially if you don't write it down or track it and you're going just based off memory. People are naturally just bad at tracking food, so make sure you track your calories so that you have an accurate representation of where you're at for the day. So if you're a little low on fat for the day and you're down to your last meal, you know that you need to eat a little bit more fat or a little bit more protein, whatever it is that your day looks like. But you know, I would say probably do that for at least a month when you're first starting the diet, so you kind of have an idea or get into the rhythm of what you should eat and how you should eat. Soon it'll kind of become like second nature, where you know, you kind of mentally know, you know, throughout the day, okay, well, I'm a little low on fats today, or you know, I should probably up my protein a little bit more. When you're first getting started, make sure you track everything religiously. So on the same note of tracking your calories, make sure you know your total daily energy expenditure. What that is a estimate of your total daily metabolic activity. So how many calories your body needs to burn just to keep you alive. There are a couple different equations out there on the internet that will help you calculate that based off of your activity level, your current weight, and your height. So make sure you know where you're at as far as your TDEE, total daily energy expenditure. So the reason you want to know that is because that'll give you your calorie goal for the day. So for example, my total daily energy expenditure is 1900 to 2000 calories per day with light physical activity. So I base my caloric intake for the day based off of that number. I eat about like 1850 calories, and that puts me on track to lose half a pound a week. You can be more aggressive depending on what your goals are and what your total daily calories look like. But for me, I'm sitting around 1800, 1850 per day, and I'm set to lose half a pound a week. And the last thing I want to go over is kind of just a little bit of motivation going into the ketogenic diet. Just realize that it could be a hard diet for some people. You're going from a state of eating whatever you want, especially as far as carbs go, and my guess is most people have been eating a certain way for their entire life. You're now going in and changing that behavior by a pretty drastic amount. So you're going from eating carbs one week to cutting out carbs almost completely another. So it's very polarizing. It can be difficult. If you realize that, you know, it's just part of the journey, it's not impossible. You can totally do it. It's not an impossible goal. Just realize that, hey, it's gonna be hard. It can be difficult some days, and some days your cravings will hit you really hard. But that's where those substitutes come in. Once you find substitutes for things that you tend to crave, take some of those substitutes. Get rid of the cravings. Don't break the diet. Don't have cheat days for a while. So just know that if this is something you want to try, it could be a hard journey ahead of you, but if you stick to it, it's definitely doable. It's very rewarding. It's probably one of the most effective diets that I've ever been on, and I've been on it for almost 2 years now without taking a lot of extended breaks. Maybe I'll have a cheat week or two throughout the year, maybe Christmas, Thanksgiving, birthdays, stuff like that, but for the most part, I've stayed pretty true to the straight and narrow. If you find that it helps you to join ketogenic groups, message boards, chats, there's a lot of help out there. There's a lot of people with experience out there. If you have questions, reach out, ask. Don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on the diet. You can do it. It's not impossible. So that's it. Those are the tips that I have for people that want to get into the diet or just beginning. Thanks for going on the walk with me. If you find the video helpful, give a thumbs up. Share with anyone that you think might help. Let's try to help as many people as we can. And we'll see you on the next walk.